Good morning, everyone. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com with your morning market outlook for Monday, June 29th, 2026. This is a bit of an unusual week. It is a month end, and we also have the markets closed on both sides of the border this week. The Canadian market will be closed on Wednesday. The U.S. market will be closed on Friday. And so that makes for a pretty quiet week. We're not expecting a lot to happen. Of course, month end and shortened weeks usually have a bullish bias to them. We wouldn't be surprised if the market moved higher this week. Of course, when you're looking at a time period that has a bullish bias, it doesn't mean the market can't go down. It just means the market probably won't go down as much as it normally would if we do get bad news. Now, on Monday morning, stock index futures are pointing higher, being led higher by the NASDAQ. Commodities are mixed with crude oil up while gold and silver are trading lower. And once again, silver is leading the market lower in percentage terms this morning. Looking at the VIX coming into Monday, the VIX is on a buy signal right now. Things would change on Monday with a close below 1730. We're still trading in the middle of the range that we've been in since the start of April. We're still looking for a breakout of that range. You can see that on Friday we closed just below the moving averages. They've all converged, which means we're not trending at the moment. We're also in the middle of the flypaper channel. Again, that's a neutral zone. We're not trending at the moment. Now, the S&P 500 is coming into Monday's trading action on a sell signal, so that's probably not going to change on Monday. The VIX for the NASDAQ has been elevated for a while. That's why you've got the Magnificent 7 ETF heading lower, making a new low on Friday. The VIX for the Russell is still on a sell signal here. It's traded through the upper channel line for several days, but has not closed above it. And the Russell 2000 is coming into Monday's trading action still on a buy signal. Now, I got some questions about the U.S. dollar. We've talked a lot about the fact that foreign countries are getting rid of a lot of their U.S. dollar reserves. But that doesn't look like that's what's going on this chart. And of course, if the US dollar has been rising, other currencies like the euro and the Canadian dollar have been falling. And that has a lot to do with what we've been watching every day, and that's the interest in AI and computer chips. And if we look at this chart shows the amount of money coming in from foreign investors. And you can look at this huge move up back here. You can see the dot-com bubble was back here. This is what's going on right now. So that's one of the reasons the US dollar has been propped up over the last few months. Looking at commodities this morning, starting off with copper. Copper made a low on Wednesday and moved up on Thursday and Friday. Copper miners didn't do that, though, and on Friday we had an inside day, so no change there. Trying to hold $75. And of course, if that doesn't hold, then we go down to 68.75, which takes us back to the low of March of 2026. Now, looking at gold also made a low on Wednesday, was up on Thursday and Friday. Again, we're trading from underneath the flypaper channel, so any up move, we have to dampen the expectations. You can see that coming into Monday's trading action, the pros are not interested in taking control of the price of gold, and we see that in the pre-market this morning. Now, it's certainly more defined on a weekly basis. The pros have absolutely no interest in taking over the price of gold on a long-term basis coming into Monday's trading action. Now, gold stocks, interesting. We may have a tradable bottom in New York. In Toronto, we made a higher low last week, and we'll have to see if we get any continuation to the upside. Not expecting much of that on Monday. Now, here's the junior gold miners, and yep, that could be a double bottom, could be a tradable opportunity. And then I stand back a bit and I look at all the lower highs that we've had in 2026, and it's still a very bearish chart with a possible bottom at the moment. Now, looking at silver, also made a low on Wednesday, was up on Thursday and Friday. Silver miners also moved up on Thursday and Friday. And here we are looking at the juniors. They hit the lower channel line on Friday, so no, we're not expecting any change in trend on Monday. For the junior silver miners, we're trying to hold 25. If we take out the recent low, then 21.88 would become our next target to the downside. And of course, just like gold, we're trading from underneath the flypaper channel, so any rally here, we have to really dampen our expectations. Of course, if you don't want to go long on a new buy signal, you certainly don't want to remain short. We never want to remain short when the market turns against us, no matter how bearish you feel about a particular symbol. Looking at the energy sector, we've got crude oil making a new low on Friday, hit the 200-day moving average. Next target to the downside is 100. If we keep going lower from here, we're certainly not doing that in the pre-market, as crude oil is trading higher in the pre-market on Monday morning. Now, gasoline has done a really good job of trying to hold the $100 level. On Friday, we closed at $100.52. And when we look at what the pros and the public are doing, this is what's happening in crude oil. This is what's happening in gasoline. And you can see there's much more interested in gasoline than there is in crude oil at the moment, and absolutely no interest in natural gas. And you can see natural gas has been trading in a very narrow range, with the pros and the public very close to each other for the last few months. Now, looking at the energy stocks, when we look at Toronto, you can see the pros have no interest in taking control at the moment. That's also true in New York. And then in New York, we're still holding the 53.13 level. Again, if that breaks, and it probably won't break on Monday, $50 would be our next target. Now, what worked on Friday? The big winner was cloud computing in percentage terms, followed by software stocks, followed by marijuana stocks. And in all three cases, we did not see a new buy signal. We certainly could on Monday. Looking at individual stocks on the TSX, the big winner was Shopify. On the TSX Composite, the big winner was BlackBerry. Now, BlackBerry is starting to push out above the top of our projected trading range. So if we flip over to the weekly chart, we can see that our next target is 17.19 for BlackBerry, traded in Toronto. Looking at the Dow, the big winner was Microsoft, and of course, we saw that the software ETF certainly had a nice move on Friday. Again, no change in trend. No change in trend on the NASDAQ for workday. Traded right up towards the upper channel line, so a close on Monday above $126.25 would give us a buy signal. And then Moderna was the big winner on the S&P 500, hit our next price target of $68.75. So if you had an order in up there, or if you had a call option up there, congratulations, you got to lock in some profits. Now, what didn't work, it was the memory sector was the big loser in percentage terms. It did not generate a new buy signal. The memory ETF, very new, and of course it does not have enough data to really create a full chart here, but we want to track it at the same time. So it is in the database, it just doesn't have a lot of useful information so far. Looking at semiconductors, third day of a sell signal here for semiconductors, and the technology sector also on a sell signal. Looking at the TSX 60, the biggest loser was Celestica. And then on the TSX Composite, it was Bosch, had a huge wild day and ended the day on a sell signal, closing just below the lower channel line. Now, if you had an order in at 781 to sell half your position, congratulations, that got filled. Unfortunately, an order up there at 859 certainly did not get filled on Friday. 859 significant because if you look over to that gap back in January, the top of that bar, the bottom of the gap is 860. So that's why we found resistance up at that level, but certainly a big dramatic move for Bosch on Friday. Looking at the Dow, the biggest loser on the day was Caterpillar. On the NASDAQ 100, it was Western Digital, which is back on a sell signal as of Friday's close. And if you're long Western Digital, you want to check what's happening at 9:30, 9:29 in the pre-market, just to see if you need to take that sell signal or not. If you get a situation where Western Digital is going to open in the channel or above, then I would wave off that sell signal from Friday. And last up, the biggest loser on the S&P 500 was on semiconductor, third day of a sell signal there. We were down nearly 24% on the day on Friday. Last up, looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum, both had inside days on Friday, both trading lower in the pre-market on Monday morning. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. Thank you very much for your time and attention. It certainly looks like we're going to see a little buying at the open on Monday morning, and there's no major economic numbers to stop us from doing that. Have a great day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Tuesday morning.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.